The only thing that can do inquiry is awakeness itself. And awakeness itself is picking at the little knots in the string that are keeping it from having perfect clarity. And the little knots in the string are John thoughts, right? Which is, I'm a John. John needs, but I need a haircut. Or whatever. I need to get to work in a hurry. All of that. It's it's actually, I mean, it's awakeness because that's the only energy in the universe. But it's awakeness believing that it's a John, and if it's on its way to work, there's no harm in that, right? Who cares? And wow, awakeness drove me to work or whatever. I mean, it's but when it comes down to anything of consequence, that's when we want to be able to divide one from the other, if we have to divide it all. Over here, I find no line of division anymore. Is that I'm not more awake or more deeply awake in a really anytime. I'm awake. I can't wake up anymore. Clarity, however, is clarity just responds to inquiry. It responds to kindness, which is like, oh, damn it, I should have known better than that. And I've noticed I couldn't have known better than that. That's the way to keep that flow going. It's not, oh, you stupid so-and-so, because the only one that is calling a stupid so-and-so is ego. So you backed yourself right back into the corner. The way we keep going is, I mean, and you're talking about constant inquiry over here. There is, I'm going to put it a slightly different way, which basically means the same thing, which is that there is consistent unsureness over here. There's, by not knowing anything, by remaining unsure, then that means that, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but that puts everything in the world under suspicion, but not of being good or bad, of is it true or not? That's what the constant search is like the reflection that I'm seeing right now. I can't find a reflection right now, but most of the time I can find some sort of reflection. And is the reflection that one's having on the world, is that, or of the world, is that true or not? Is it a true representation of what is? And instead of an untrue representation of what I think should be, what I think what is should be, what I think what is could be, what I think what is might be, and what I'm hoping that what is will turn into. All of these things are, they're just boat anchors to the bottom. It's like the ship is sinking. Everybody grab a lifeboat, and I just grab the anchor instead, and try to launch with that, but it's right straight to the bottom. And so this constant suspicion means that there's nothing over here resting on its laurels. There's nothing over here that actually has laurels, but there is the sense that there's something over here that could be complacent. But there's no sense that there's anything over here that is being complacent, right? It's because, what you guys don't see is that when I'm not in one of these meetings, very often I'm messing with the website. I'm in email with somebody. I'm probably in email with several people, right? And just their responses, get another one from me if necessary, whatever. And I'm working on, I'm looking at the website, or working on the website, or working on, it's just, there's constant immersion here. So I don't have a job that I go to that would pull me out of perhaps, pulled me back into the sense of Fredness. And, I'm at work. I need to call him Fred the engineer, not Fred the holy man. And what I found out in just in my personal experience, and I found this out prior to this last part of the search, and I found this out in trying to get sober, prior to getting sober, which was I found out that confession. I found out why it's been a part of spirituality for so very, very long. It's because confession is really just for clearing. That's what you're doing. Telling the priest is just like people have it for coming and telling me, which is that then it's no longer in your little world, and you can no longer completely twirl it to where, well, actually, I didn't do badly there. So coming here and sharing where you're not clear, I don't like it because I don't like having to say I'm wrong, or I'm not as cool as you thought, or not as cool as you wish, whatever. When I come here and I report where I have gone unconscious, and but I have found out that it's extremely helpful to me. And I found this out way back in just in getting sober. It was that reporting behavior that was not it did not denote progress in my spiritual journey, whether it was getting sober or getting enlightened, and bringing that up and shining light on it, because you keep it in the corners, you can live with that for the rest of your life. And I don't know if I did this right. I don't know how I feel about this, whatever. Get it out there. Tell us, it not to be me, but tell somebody what's going on in your life. What are your secrets? I mean, every client I've unveiled quite a bit, but there are some clients that I have pretty much unveiled it all with, and which is fine, right? It helps. It keeps me. It's hard to stay humble when you're coming through this unit for one thing, but it's hard to keep humble as a unit, period, because everything in society wants you to make everything grandiose so that you will be noticed. I read somewhere that in China, the people tend to talk more loudly when we do. That's one of the reasons it sounds so harsh or whatever, because there's so many people that in order to make yourself known, you got to be loud. And that's kind of that, it makes sense. And it's that way here in America. If what you're saying goes along with the American plan, the relativity first, and that's that, right? That's what I mean by the American plan. That's the worldwide plan. That's the human plan. It goes along with that, then you'll get all the support in the world for staying in that cloud, for staying in that aspect of the dream. Just and so that there's a lot of clarity on everything but Fred. Sometimes. And it's there's no Fred, so we're talking about Fredness, Johnness, the behavior that roars through these units, sometimes cascades through them at others. About that, when we come to spirituality, we usually go to the grandstand, to the bleachers, and we are watching everything that's going on. And we come to satsang and we're watching everybody. And that's great. It's so much better to be in satsang and feeling the connection and noticing what's happening. It's hugely better than just watching satsang or watching, teachers on YouTube, whatever. But when you come down from the bleachers and onto the field, which is, for instance, that's what John Hayes just did. Right, is he came out of the bleachers and he said, let me get involved here. But that's the difference, is that when we get involved, that's when clarity really begins to pick up speed, so to speak. What I can tell you is that when pain starts to kick up, like if I could really fix that, I'd fix it in me. And I got nothing for that pain. I just don't. But I do have something for the experiencer of the pain. The pain makes me not be able to process well, right? Or I could just say processing doesn't happen as well. That's the truth, right?
Okay.
It's that, there's a lot of input over here. I mean, I get a lot of input is what I mean. And I just can't, a lot of times I just can't respond to it. It's just like too much. And it's like it's overload. And what I do now is I just go into overload. In the sense of I don't try to read this. I just go, okay, this is overwhelming right now. Well, put it down. Maybe it won't be overwhelming later. And I saw Betsy wrote an email this morning to Louise, and she said, late yesterday afternoon, Fred had, went into a great, had a great spell of clarity and energy and all that stuff. And she said, it was wonderful. It was, very helpful in this, but she wasn't in there clawing at me when I was, just because being out there and frankly not caring about, because you're seeing relativity in the way it really is, which is, everything counts here, but nothing matters. And you can switch too far to the nothing matters, which is what happens when, I'm a little out there, I'm not quite on planet during those times. And so that unfortunately doesn't coincide with the duties that I have, the reasonable duties that I have as an administrator as much as anything else. And so I don't fight it at all. I don't fight anything because there's just no winning it. Because the fight will always be that where does it start from? Every fight starts from this ain't right. It doesn't it? Yeah. There's no character there, but the patterns that we call a character, the Gavin patterns and the Fred patterns, the way this unit looks, the way it talks, its mannerisms, its thinking process, all of that is Fredness. There's no Fred in the middle of it, but there is certainly a whirlwind of Fredness. And recognizing that I can't go to the whirlwind with a whirlwind experience and expect the whirlwind to settle that down and get it straight. What I can do is I can leave the whirlwind and just go back and just be just be noticing myself, just be myself. And during those times, sadly, I'm not as effective in relativity. And by the way, this is not going to happen to you. Just in case the ones out there who are going, damn, I don't know if I want this or not. There's not odds of this happening to you are not good. And it's not bad like it sounds. Just don't deny. Don't deny where you are. I mean, if it feels like, oh God, I'm starting to think about John and I'm, and Gavin, and I'm on the way to work, or Susan and I'm at work, and this is right or wrong or whatever. I should be able to see more clearly than this. And no, you shouldn't. If you should be able to see more clearly than that, you would be seeing more clearly than that. And I know the feeling. I get it too. And what that feeling will be, because my actual expectations of this unit are incredibly low. Just could hardly be lower. But there can be momentary blips where I go from no expectations at all to, well, you certainly should be able to get that. I mean, that's That's plain enough, even for you, dummy. And and what I would have to answer in truth is no, it's not, because it's confusing me. It might be plainly seen by every other dummy in the world, but not by this one. So take it, and this conditioning is not like the conditioning of the Gavin unit, right? It's not. These are two different skins with the same drink in them, but it's two different skins. So our presentation is going to be quite different. Just allow it to be. That's all we have to do here. And this goes for every moment in your life. Allow that moment to be as it is. You can't stop it. So why resist it? And the idea that, oh God, I'm thinking about so and such again, and I'm not supposed to be. Is that true? According to God, you're supposed to be thinking about that, if you will. I mean, according to the whole universe, because there are no mistakes. So the attention should be on that right now. We can't know why. There's no point in asking why, because there's no answer to why other than why not. So allow this moment, including your feelings, whether they be anger. Notice the anger. That's all you can do, because what'll be noticing the anger is not part of the anger, because the anger is what we would judge harshly, but we would judge it as an unskillful behavior, and which is a light judgment. It's judgment, but it's a light judgment. So it's just judged as an unskillful behavior, and allow it to come through. And the joy. Don't try to get on with the damn, I'm just paying attention to, I'm just watching the sky. This is ridiculous. No, it's not. It's a very important part of living. And living is the way that we live. It's not the way we think we ought to live. And that's what that's where the suffering comes in. Is our expectations of ourselves and others are too high. We think that everybody else should be living the way I think they should be. And I think this thing should be operating the way I want it to be. And it's forever disappointing.